Hey, John Wall, we're going to make you proud, man. We're going to make you proud of your alma mater. That's my goal. I take that really personally and seriously.
Welcome to Point Game with John Wall and C.J. Toledano, presented by DraftKings. Don't forget, DraftKings is your home for all the action across the NBA and gets you closer to the game we all love. The crown is yours. We have a very special episode today. We are joined by the captain of the 1996 national champion Kentucky Wildcats and the brand new coach of the University of Kentucky men's basketball team, Mark Pope. But before we get to that, we got to get John's reaction here on the finals that just wrapped up. Celtics are the winner. So, John, you've been kind of calling it as the Celtics were going to take it all this whole season since we started this pod. So wanted to get your reaction upon seeing them close this thing out in 5 and finally get their first title with the Jaylen Brown and Tatum era.
I think it was great. Like I told you before, I felt like they had to win this championship. If they didn't, I think, like before a lot of people said when they lost in 2022, I think, to the Warriors, they was like, they got to split them up. They're great. They're both great players, but they don't have enough to get it done. And, you always have those debates when you have two superstars or two stars in the backcourt or two stars on one team. Like, how do they coexist, and can they play well together? So then to finally get over that hump and win the championship, I think it was exciting for them. They really enjoyed it. I know they're probably on a high right now, living in the moment still. And
yeah,
like you kept listening to the interview after the game, a lot of them kept saying it feels so surreal. Like they can't believe it. They still haven't registered in their mind that they won a championship. So I think it was dope. Like I said, I called it all season. I thought it was going to play Denver. But, like the Mavs made some trades. Other teams made some trades. Other teams got better. And Minnesota had a heck of a run, and Dallas got over the hump. But it was great to see them get a win.
No, it was dope, too, because I remember in the last few years, I think it was 2021 and maybe a little bit of 22, people were talking about, do we need to separate these guys? Do we need to move, Jaylen Brown? So one, like, how was it to see those two kind of make it work? And do you think other teams are sort of taking note to give some of these duos and these teams a little bit more time? And then also, do you sort of see with Jaylen, winning MVP in the conference finals and the finals, do you think that Jayson is kind of taking that as a personal challenge that he's got to win those maybe in the future? So how do those guys how does a championship sort of affect their relationship in that duo after these 7 years together?
Well, I think more teams are going to take more time, not to try to break up duos too early. I think it was great because I didn't know this, but I think when if you listen to an interview or somebody said it, that Jaylen Brown felt like he failed them last year. When Tatum got hurt in Game 7, they were looking for him to be the guy to step up, and he felt like he wasn't as good enough yet, and that's why when they lost to Miami, so he felt like he put a lot of pressure on himself to get better over the summer, and I think he's done that, and it looks great. Yeah, I think like Tatum said, like he wasn't pressed to win MVP, but everybody wants to win Finals MVP. Everybody wants to win East Conference Final, and that's your ultimate goal. Shout out to Jaylen Brown. I feel like he don't get a lot of recognition, so it's great for him to get those awards. In my opinion. And not because I'm a Tatum fan, I feel like he should have got either one of them because he let him in. He let him in scoring in both series. I think this Pacers series he averaged 30, like 12 and 8, and this series he averaged 23, 7 and 7. So I feel like he had the odds to win it. But if there's no reason Jaylen Brown shouldn't have won either. He was talented enough. He was great enough. I think they gave him. I think they gave him the edge because his impact he had on the other end of the floor. He was a hell of a two-way player throughout the finals. You know what I mean? The way he was making it tough on Luka. And just trying to do the best he can to stop him. Luka still was almost averaging 30, but he made it difficult on him. He made him work. So, I feel like Jayson Tatum should have got MVP, but I'm not mad at Jaylen Brown got it. It's great for him. He deserves that recognition. I was upset he didn't make All-NBA this year. I think he's only made All-NBA one time. I think he's made All-NBA one time. So that's kind of shocking to me because I don't understand the narrative of All-NBA then if you got guys that have the number one record in the league. Both of these guys are all-star. They're both averaging high numbers. Like, how do I not be all-NBA? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. I can see if they were like a 4 seed or a 5 seed, they almost been number one seed the last couple of years. And he's only made All-NBA one time. Like, you usually give your best teams 2 or 3 guys on All-NBA. So that's kind of shocking to me. But shout out to Jaylen Brown for winning MVP. I think it was a shock to him. You look at him, he was surprised he got it. So, but it was great for him to get it because I feel like he don't get a lot of recognition other ways. So I think he was super excited. But yeah, for Tatum, his mindset is, okay, I won one. But he did it the right way, though, because I think somebody said he wasn't shooting the ball well. He wasn't having great games early on, but he was doing other than to impact the game, getting 10 assists, getting 10 rebounds. And he could have went out there impressed and said, I'm just trying to win MVP. Like, forget the finals. I mean, winning the finals, I'm trying to win MVP. But he was more so focused on whatever I got to do to help us win, I'm willing to do it. So if I'm not shooting well, let other guys take the lead. So it was great to see. And I think they, like you said, a lot of guys sacrifice on their team, man. They sacrifice the most. And they have two great glue guys between Derek White and Drew Holiday that sacrifice so much. And then Al Horford, man, shout out to Al Horford. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Finally getting his ring. And then you have Porzingis that came back and he could have tried to get back into the starting lineup. He was like, nah, I'm cool. We're coming off the bench. Whatever way I can help them win. So I think that was big for their whole team. And just speaks volume of all those guys making a sacrifice, how their front office is working, and how everybody respect their coaching staff.
Yeah, I liked seeing that. That was one of my favorite moments was when Al Horford was sort of checking out and he got that like standing ovation, because you got to imagine a guy like that, he can go be a vet anywhere else or whatever, but the Celtics decided to make him an integral part. He had to back up KP. He got more minutes when KP, I think they were playing it a little safe and like, we don't want to get him injured. And then, the Mavs get another one and they take advantage of that. But like, it was dope seeing Al Horford finally get one. So that was cool. What do you have to say with some of the internet? They said like the Celtics had the easiest road. Like this was the easiest title to go and get.
Well, at the end of the day is, bro, it's about health. Everybody knows about being healthy and being and having some luck. You know what I mean? So they can't control that round one. Jimmy Butler wasn't healthy and then Terry Rozier wasn't healthy. That's not their problem. You know what I mean? That's the matchup they have. They have to compete against that. You go to second round, they can't help that Jerry Allen got hurt the series before that against the Magic. And then Donovan Mitchell ends up getting hurt. It's all about having health and all about having some luck. So, you know what I mean? I know they're going to look at that and be like, you know what? If that's the case, then we try to run it back next year. But you know what I mean? Milwaukee had an injury with Drew Holiday. I mean, not Drew Holiday, my bad. Giannis. I mean, Dame got hurt a little bit. Then you play the Pacers. Then you have Halliburton getting hurt. You know what I mean? I mean, not Halliburton. You have, Halliburton. Halliburton got hurt.
Yeah, Halliburton was out, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, it's tough to say because, it's all anything with basketball, man, throughout the regular season, throughout NBA career, like I said for myself, like I've got injured. What could John Wall have been if he didn't have an injury? Or what Derrick Rose or Penny Hardaway could have been, or Grant Hill would have been. Like, yeah, you want to go against the best, but all you can do is line up against the guys you're competing against. So is the excuse if Porzingis don't come back for the finals and they lose, is it because the Dallas had an easy finals matchup?
Yeah.
Like, are people gonna make that excuse? You know what I mean? Like, it's the nature of it. It's like you go out there, you compete, you play at a high level. You want no injuries. You want a clear slate finals where everybody's healthy or throughout the whole playoffs. But it's just the nature of the game. It's a part of the game.
Right. I mean, people look back on that Raptors championship where, KD and Clay got hurt. And then I don't think it like discounts it, but that is part of the game. It's like how much you playing your guys, you playing them in freak accidents happen. So I still think it's like they still got to win those games because sometimes teams step up when their best player is out, Yeah,
the Pacers stepped up. You see, like, they even made the games tougher. Game 3 and 4 was tough. But I just look at, like you said, so if you go back to that, is what you were saying, KD and Clay been hurt. So do we say if KD was healthy that whole playoff series, do they sweep the Raptors? Do they even get a ring? Like
the Raptors? I would say no.
But that's what I'm saying. We all can say that, you know what I mean? But like in the day, you still got to go out there and compete. Like I think when they went to what did they go to? Game 6, right?
Yeah, 6. I think so.
So when KD come back for like a couple 12 minutes and then get hurt, like so they still took it to a game 6. So they still had to go out there and compete. You still have Klay Thompson, you still have Draymond, you had Boog, you had Iguodala, you had Steph. Come on.
Okay. Well, okay. So talking about that, like let's look back on the last 5 years. Who would you say is the best championship team of these last 5 years? We were having this conversation before, and you had some interesting takes on this.
I say the 22 Warriors, in my opinion.
And why do you say that?
I feel like, what does it start with, 2021?
Yeah, I guess let's start with the bubble. Was that 1920?
Yeah, 1920. I think it's like a lot of people was not happy to go to the bubble. I think a lot of people was checked out of going to the bubble. And for me, I don't know. I wasn't in the bubble, so I don't know how it was to living there every day and not being able to see your family, not being able to see those things. So I just don't like that one. 21, I feel like you had that series. You have a lot of injuries in that same one. You know what I mean? With the because nobody expected the Suns to get there. You know what I mean? They went through some people they didn't have to go through with injuries.
Right,
So you had the
right.
Bucks. I mean, it's credit to them though, but it's another scenario like this year. Who had the hardest way to get there?
Yeah.
22, I think it made it special because the Warriors didn't make the playoffs the year before because Steph was hurt. And I think Clay was still out. And then to go there and have like Jordan Poole off their bench, have Jonathan Kuminga play roles, you have Otto Porter, you have different pieces that nobody thought the Warriors were going to make the playoffs that year or was going to be good enough. So I think that's why you seen Steph being so emotional to get over that hump and get there. Nuggets, I feel like they had a chance if Jamal Murray was healthy. I feel like they just was a great team. And I just feel like when they played the Heat was good. The Heat battle, which they always going to do. The Heat coach, they always going to compete at a high level. I just think they was outmatched.
Right, right.
And then this year, you know what I mean? People are saying the Celtics had an easy way. They didn't have a tough path. So, you know what I mean? Whatever they say. Champions are champions. You can't take it away from them. So that's why I picked the Warriors. I feel like nobody expected them to be there. Then not to make the playoffs the year before and come back and win a championship. I think that was pretty special for me out of the last 5.
Yeah. No, that Warriors team, I think it was a shock. It was like almost like a shock, but then people, once they got in the finals, it was like, you know, the Celtics aren't going to compete. So it was kind of cool to see the Celtics get back and win this one too, just relating it to that.
Yeah, but I think the Celtics, they competed because I went to game 3 and 4 and they was up 2-1, had a chance to win game 4 at home after they stole game 1. I just think, you know what I mean? I don't know. I never been to the finals. I never been in the West Conference final, East Conference finals. But I think, you know what I mean? That stage is a whole different stage. There's only 2 teams left. Everybody watch you. And I think they just haven't been in that moment before. So, you know what I mean? Like the last 2 minutes, 3 minutes, they kind of took a couple bad shots, kind of wasn't being patient, was forcing the issue. And I think the Warriors, you know, they had a lot of guys that already been there before. Like, we're never rattled. Okay, we lost home court. We're not rattled. You know what I mean? We'll figure it out. So I think they had more exposure. And kind of like this year, you know what I mean? You really had nobody really that been to the finals from the Mavs but Kyrie Irving. You know what I mean? Lucas played on big stages overseas, don't get me wrong. But I think sometimes that spotlight might get too big. And you tell just with the Celtics, they never got too high, they never got too low. And I think having Drew Holiday, a guy that already won one that can keep their locker room calm, it was kind of easy for them. It was easy slate for them to go through.
Yeah. Speaking on Kyrie, and this will be the last thing with the finals, but I think a lot of people wanted more out of him. And we've obviously seen what Kyrie is capable of. So can you just talk about what do you think happened with him this series and then maybe what the Mavs got to do this offseason?
For me, I think nothing really happened with Kyrie. I mean, he had a great defender in Drew Holiday, but if you look at the game, he still got to all his spots. I think he just missed short. He missed a couple of shots then. You know what I mean? He got back to Dallas, got back to his environment where he didn't have a crowd on him all day, every day, screaming Kyrie sucks or F you and all this 24/7. So I think he tried to tune that out and play basketball, you know what I mean? But the shots was there. He got the same shots he had other series. They just wasn't falling. But I think he had multiple defenders that can guard. They wasn't stopping him because he still got 2 spots. But he had multiple defenders that can make it tough on him. I think other series he probably had 1 or 2 guys that can kind of make it tough. But having, like I said before, they have 4 great defenders on their team that can defend at a high level. That made it a little more difficult, but he played basketball the way he wanted to play. He took the same type of shots in game 3 and 4, and they failed those games. In games 1, 2, and 5, they didn't fall for him in Boston.
Yeah. No, I think the biggest thing is that Luka and Kyrie, last year they didn't make the playoffs. This year they're in the finals. The fact that they have figured it out, and then they got, like you said before, PJ Washington, Gaff, like they're a squad now. And so, like, they went to the finals. They're going to be back. They're going to figure some stuff out. And so that's a force that I think that the league's going to have to continue to reckon with. I wanted to get back into the season's over. I wanted to talk about the draft a little bit because you got a couple Kentucky guys coming out in the draft. So I think Reed Sheppard might be the highest guard drafted since you. So wanted to get your thoughts on Reed. I know you spent some time talking with him and watching him this year. Where's the best spot for him to land, and where do you think he's going to land?
I think for him, it doesn't really matter for him because he's a guy that shoots the 3 at a high clip. I think he shot the best percentage in college. But he's a guy that's not going to wow you with speed. He's a sneaky athlete that you don't expect, but he's a great defender, can shoot the ball very well at a high clip, and he can just run a team. You know what I mean? So I think he's one of those guys where you don't expect it from him, but he knows how to do all the little things. And if he's a guy that can shoot the ball as well as he can run pick and roll, can defend the ball screens very well, he can fit in anywhere. He just figuring out his niche and find out what his role is going to be for whatever team he goes to.
What do you think is the player comp there? I know we don't like to compare players, but what do you think, like potential-wise or ceiling-wise, who do you think the best comp is for him? Klay Thompson?
No. Because Klay Clay's a knockdown shooter and defender, but like Reese can handle the ball, push the ball on the floor at a high clip. He's sneaky athletic, you know what I mean? Like I said. So I really don't have a comparison for him because it's like you might have one guy that can shoot like it, but don't run pick and roll and make plays like he does. You know what I mean? Like I think he's the reason why Rob was able to blossom even more, you know what I mean? Because he came in and was a true point guard, and Rob was easy to come in and be straight a microwave. You know what I mean? I feel like if Rob had to run the team, it'd be a lot different for him. You know what I mean? But he came into where like, this is my role. Get the ball, go be a bucket getter. So I just think Reed is just who he is. I don't really have a comparison, really, to be honest.
Okay. All right. One last thing before the break about this draft. Obviously, you went number one. It was a huge night for you. So one piece of advice you would give some of these guys who are about to get drafted that night, whether they're going to it or they're at home, what's the piece of advice going into the draft night?
Well, I don't know. If you ain't been there, I know it's going to be different because me, it's like you go a week early and like you just get to be around your family. You get to walk around and see how New York is and how beautiful the city is. And just living that moment because you're living up to the hype every day. You just chilling, you relaxing, going to dinner, enjoying that moment. But when you get there, it's nervous. Like I don't care if you know you're going one or you're going two or where you're going. It's just a lot of jitters. But all the hard work and dedication you put into the game, to listen to your parents, listen to your coaches growing up, to doing what you do in high school, to going to college and playing well at a high level, or if you was in the G League or you was at overtime elite and went to the draft, it's dope, man. Like everything you believe that all come true in one night. So just live in the moment, enjoy it with your family, embrace it, and then know the next day after that, man, your journey is gonna start. Like you get to go to the city you get drafted to, get to do your press conference, you get to touch the jersey for the first time, and embrace it how it's gonna be. But it's the best feeling you can have, man. It gets still better.
That's incredible and special. Okay, all right. This we're gonna take a break here, but when we come back, I think this is an interview that a lot of Kentucky fans. We saw you guys meet each other at EYBL, and now we're gonna have a convo here between you and the new Kentucky coach Mark Pope. So we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, Kentucky head coach Mark Pope will be joining us. Welcome back to Point Game with John Wall and C.J. Toledano, presented by DraftKings. I am so excited to bring on this next guest. We are joined by the captain of the 1996 national champion Kentucky Wildcats and now the head coach of the University of Kentucky men's basketball team, Mark Pope. Coach, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining us on Point Game.
CJ, I'm not going to lie. I'm hyped to be on with you, but I'm out of my mind to be on with John Wall. Like, what are we talking about? Like, I'm telling you guys, listen. So I was at my first job in college basketball was at the University of Georgia. I was there John's rookie, his first and only year at the University of Kentucky. So, you know, I had a 2-bit job. I was folding laundry and handing out towels. But on my own, I was doing a lot of film study, sitting with the staff doing film study. So we're prepping to go to Kentucky. We're watching film on John. We're watching your individual clips. And you guys know, I swear this is like not an exaggeration. You guys know how it is back in the day when you would have little glitches in the film where it'd be going normal speed,
right,
and all of a sudden it would like speed up to like 2 times speed, and then it would go back to normal. So we're watching a transition clip, and John, you started like 1 step past the free throw line. You took like 1 or 2 strides, and then it was like, bloop, and then all of a sudden you were at the next free throw line, and we were like, wait, is the film broken? It was not broken, man. My gosh. Huge fan, my friend.
Appreciate it. I want to say thanks for joining us, Coach. You know, I got to meet you at Indy at the EYBL thing, so it was nice to finally get to meet you. And I know everybody was anticipating, like, oh, is John Wall going to meet Coach Pope before the season starts? Is he going to go to games? But I just want to say congratulations to you for getting a head coaching job. And where do you see yourself taking the program and what you think like the future is? 'Cause I know there's a lot of expectation that everybody wants you to live up to what Coach Cal did, but you're your own coach. You have your own pedigree. You have your own way. So where do you see yourself taking it?
Well, listen, I mean, Kentucky is Kentucky. I mean, as you know, right? There's nowhere like it. I mean, there's college basketball. There's blue bloods in college basketball, and then there's Kentucky. It's just a standalone. I might be biased when I say that, but I got to wear this jersey. I know what it's like to wear this jersey, and there's just no place like this. I could cite 100 different examples, whether it's winning or pros or championships or fan base. It just is different. And so There's no acceptable expectations here other than winning championships. We say that all the time. Like, if we talked about this at the press conference when I was introduced as the next head coach. Most coaches stand up at the press conference and they try and moderate expectations because that's a smart thing to do. Give yourself time, build the program, take a few years, right? That's just not acceptable in Kentucky. Like, when you walk in the door, you better be ready to win a banner. Like, you got to hang a banner. You better win a ring, win a championship. And that might seem like unreasonable expectations. All of us on this Zoom, we know how hard that is. And if you don't want that, go take some other job. You can take any other job in college basketball. But if you're coming to Kentucky, you know what the challenge is, and the expectation is that you hang a banner every year, and if you don't, you fall short. And I'm okay with that reality. That's just the reality here, and there's no place I'd rather be.
Coach, I saw this week, I think it was, you guys had started practice, so wanted to ask you, like, how does it feel to finally get your guys on the court? Have there been any surprises from the guys you've seen now that they're playing? And then I also saw this mic'd up clip where I love this expression and phrase where you were saying ton of joy, ton of juice. And I would love to get the background on that because I think a lot of fans were like, man, that was like amping everyone up just watching it on their phones and the computers.
Yeah, guys, it's been, John, you've been here. You can imagine this. I got here as a head coach, and there was a couple of days where I was sitting here as the only coach on staff in the offices with 0 players on the roster. And then we talk about the expectations year one. And there were a couple moments I was like, wow, we got a lot of work to do. Mm-hmm. And I love this staff. I can't wait till you guys get on campus and meet the guys on my staff. I think it's a really special group. And then I like these players a lot. Like, these guys, John, you're going to love these guys, man, because when they put on this jersey, every single one of them, it means something to them, man. It means something to put on the same jersey that you wore. And all these great players that came before you and after you wore, like, it means something to our guys to put this jersey on. And they're incredibly committed. They're going to work hard. And so finally getting to the point where we could have them on the practice floor. We have so much work to do to kind of get to where our goal is. Like, it's almost inconceivable amount of work. And I do think we have special pieces. Every single one of these guys we could look at as a piece that could be special. I'll tell you what, I would love to have seen Lamont Butler, who I think is probably the best defensive point guard in the country right now, who's in his 5th year, try and spend some time guarding John Wall, the most electric point guard rookie in the country his freshman year. Like, those kind of battles, like, I kind of get all the generations kind of flow together for me as I think about the greats that have been here. And so we're really happy to have these guys on the court right now. They're working hard, and it's good because we got a lot of work to do. And
I'm glad you said that, because I was going to ask you, how many times have you been sitting by yourself and pinched yourself that you got to play for the University of Kentucky, win a championship there, but now you're the head coach of the Kentucky Wildcats? And on top of that, how did you start your recruitment process? Like, how did you feel like you had to go through it? Because you was at BYU, which is a great place, great school, been in the Big 12, but now you at your alma mater, being at Kentucky. And like you said, it's about hanging banners, winning championships. It's not just to come there and go to the NCAA tournament and lose in the 2nd round or the 3rd round. No, we want to see championships. And you know the pedigree. You walk through those floors. You've been through that city. So I just want to know how all that feels.
Well, it's really humbling. It's incredibly humbling. Listen, John, I was the opposite of you. I was a terrible basketball player. Like, you're one of the best dudes. You better put on a jersey. Like, the fact that I got here was a little bit of a mistake. And the fact that I got to play in the league, I think the league is still trying to recover from that era. You know what I'm saying? But I am, like, the world's biggest fan. And I love this university, man. Like, John, I'll tell you a story you're going to love. CJ, you're going to love this. So my family grew up on Kentucky. So my second oldest daughter, Avery, so she grew up she didn't know that there was a word that was just blue. She thought Kentucky blue was one word, right? So she would go to class and people be like, what's your favorite color? She's 6 years old in school. And they say, what's your favorite color? She'd be like, Kentucky blue. And she would get weird looks, but it just didn't mean anything to her. So that game where we played against, you remember that game where Travis Leslie dunked on Boogie? Okay.
When he
so that was
when he took the charge.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I like that. So I mean, you guys got the win, which is what mattered, right?
Yeah.
But so we're just to give you a sense of like how we feel about this place. So it was my first and only year at Georgia, just kind of as an assistant to the director of operations. And we're in Georgia. I'm working for the great Coach Fox, who's on the staff now, who I love so much, who's been a mentor of mine for a long time. And we come into Rupp, and my girls grew up like our dog is named Rupp. Like this place, means a lot to me, right? And so we were coming up. So I fly up, and then the girls drive up. They get here, and Avery at this time is like 6 or 7 years old, and it's the girls' first time. My daughters, I have 4 daughters. Their first time ever setting foot in Rupp, and Avery. They go to the Hyatt. They're in the hotel. They're changed to go to the game, and Leanne pulls out these red Georgia T-shirts, and Avery had a breakdown. She's like, "Mom," she's 6. She's like, "Mom, I cannot wear a Georgia T-shirt into Rupp Arena. Like, I'm not doing that." So Leanne gave her a big conversation about like, "Hey, we gotta, we're supporting the teams that are paying the bills, right?"
Yeah.
So the compromise was they stopped and got some Kentucky socks. So Avery, she would not enter Rupp Arena if she didn't have at least some Kentucky socks on.
Oh man,
and that's what it means to me to be here. So you can imagine that. Like I love this place like you can't imagine. And then in terms of us filling in, come on, man. In college coaching, one of the oldest adages is you never take the job after John Wooden. And I'm just dumb enough to take the job after all-time revolutionary Hall of Famer, one of the greatest coaches to ever walk on the face of the planet, John Calipari. And so, that part is super humbling, but we understand the assignment, we understand the job, and we're going full speed ahead. I love Cal. Cal's been so incredibly gracious to me. Every time I've seen him on the road, he's been so gracious and encouraging. And then I was actually having conversations with 2 days before we found out publicly this job was open. And then we were just at the SEC meetings, man. He's one of the great coaches and human beings in this league. So all of that put together gives you a sense of what this place means to us and how daunting this job is. And there's no place I'd rather be, man. Let's take on the challenge and go.
That's great.
Hell yeah. I want to
John, we're going to make you proud, man. We're going to make you proud of your alma mater. That's my goal. I take that really personally and seriously.
For sure.
Well, saying that, do you think, John, do you have plans to get out there? Like, are there plans to have John come talk to the guys? And I know, John, you're going to watch some games, so wanted to know if there's any convo, or maybe we can start the convo here, how John could be, continue to support the program.
Well, listen, just from my standpoint, John, just you being around the program, come on, we talk about this all the time. One of the amazing things happening here right now is you guys might have seen this, and this is with a ton of respect to the Big East. I think the Big East is a tremendous, tremendous conference. They put out a tweet right before the NBA playoffs started, said, the Big East, we have 15 players. That's a bowl of 15 players from the Big East playing in the NBA playoffs. And that's an incredible number. It is. It's incredible. Except that, and it also should be noted that Kentucky by themselves had 22 players playing in the NBA playoffs this year, right? And so the one thing is like, we need your help. Like, that's just it. Like John Wall, I mean, there were actually surveys that I saw recently that said John Wall is the most popular Kentucky player on the face of the planet right now. Like that was actually the results of a survey that was done locally. I mean, John, this thing right here, I don't know if you can see it,
it goes a long way for sure.
Come on, man. Like, and so this is it. The one thing I know about Kentucky basketball, it's a family. It's been that from when I was here, I do think that everyone got a chance to put on this jersey. It means something to us, and we're all trying to be as successful as we can. So, you think about the weight of John and his legacy here and what he means to this program. I don't need to tell you guys, but Kentucky was not at its finest moment when you and Eric and DeMarcus rolled in here with that crew, and you guys fixed it. Like, you guys fixed it in one season. And with Coach Calipari, right? And so that means a lot. That's always going to mean a lot here at Kentucky, and all of us being this together is kind of what separates Kentucky from everywhere else.
Yeah, that was my goal. That was our goal going into there that year. Is like, we got to bring basketball back to life here. Like, we know what the history has been here. I'm definitely going to come to games for sure. You know that, and I definitely got to continue my ritual of throwing up the Y. So they'll definitely get to see me.
I like that a lot. And listen, man. Like, mentoring these young guys, or these veteran guys, like.
They're vets. Ain't too many young guys there. They vets. Ain't no many freshmen there.
Yeah, but vets in terms of but also young in terms of this Kentucky experience, right? And that's where all of our former players. We just have a commodity that nobody else has. I mean, nobody else has the reach and breadth of players before and players after, and I think that's one of the places that make this place great.
And that's one of my questions I wanted to ask you is, like, have you explained to them what Big Blue Nation mean? Like, 'cause I know, like, a lot of kids have played against Kentucky or watched Kentucky, but I don't think they really know what Big Blue Nation mean until you put that jersey on and get to walk in there. And I know when they walked into the practice facility or just walking around campus, it was a shocker to them.
So one of the things I like to do is Rupp Arena is a sacred building to me. It just is sacred. So one of the things that I've done with every single recruit is we'll walk into the top, or we'll go in on the upside, the upper street into Rupp Arena, and then walk it. I'll take the guys and just one at a time and just go sit with them in the upper deck. We go all the way about 10 rows from the top. John, I don't know if Coach Cal ever made you go touch the wall, but Coach P made us run up and go touch the wall. If we turned it over, whatever, Coach P's like, go touch the wall. And there was a lot of other words with that.
Yeah, I ain't never touched the wall before.
Yeah, well, let me tell you this, man. It's steep up there. Woo! And but I'm telling you, like, it's something really special to go sit there in the quiet of that gym and just take in what it looks like from 10 rows down from the top. And so we'll spend some time and we look at the jerseys up on the wall and talk about the history of guys that have run through there. It's actually super special to me. I love it. I could do it every day for the rest of my life. I love it so much, being in that building and look at those banners up on the wall. And then the other thing we talk about is we talk about the people that come and sit in those seats. That is probably people a lot of times that have spent their whole lifetime cheering for Kentucky that have this is the first time they ever have got to come sit in those seats. And when our guys get to actually think about that and understand that, like, that's the beginnings of them kind of starting to comprehend what BBN is and what it's a unique in the landscape of athletics that we get to come compete for these people.
Yeah. That's one thing I got to do. I got to go all the way to the top. I've never been there. And I know another thing that's going to get them spooked is when Midnight Madness come. That's the first experience I got, and I was like, wow, like, there's no way a place should have 24,000 people in it. It's unbelievable. It's bigger than most NBA arenas.
Yeah. Yes, it is. I don't think there's any NBA arenas that big now, right? They've got them all at 18, 17, 19.
Yeah, I think like 18, 19, maybe 20, 21, couple of them, but I don't think it's bigger than that one. No.
Well, and listen, you changed Midnight Mass a little bit too now. When you walked in and did your thing, come on, that's one of the. You think about it, it's hard to have an iconic moment in the history of Kentucky basketball because there's so many moments. That might be one of them.
Coach, do you have any players on the team that have personalities like John and Boogie and some of those guys who we sort of learned about that during Midnight Madness?
Well, I don't know if anybody could pull that off. Like, we'll say, I don't know if anybody could pull that off, right? But we have some guys. I'll tell you, we have some guys that love this game. We have some guys that want to come compete. We have some guys that are saying, you know what I'm willing to do right now? I'm willing to set aside my personal ambition because I want nothing more than to come wear this jersey and hang a banner, whatever it takes. If I get a start, if I got to come off the bench, if I get to average 30, if I got to average 4. We got a bunch of guys, I think, that are trying to live in that space. I think we have a chance to put together a really special team with this group.
That's dope. When you found out, and what I love about Kentucky is just the alumni is so rich, it's a long list. So who's reached out since, you getting the job, and any advice or stories, or, who you've heard from since getting this job?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the list is so long, right?
Yeah.
The guys have been so generous. What's interesting is the fans have been unbelievably supportive. They've been incredibly supportive, starting with the press conference. I mean, you think about this, you got almost 30,000 people that show up for a press conference. 5,000 people had to be turned away. That had nothing to do with me. That just had to do with BBN saying, hey, we're still here, right? And then what's fun about the former players is pretty universally, John, I don't think you totally threatened me the first time, but you kind of did with your eyes. I kind of get a sense about, don't you mess this up, man. This is special. Don't you screw this up, baby. And that's definitely what I'm getting from my former teammates. But I think universally the guys feel like that, and I dig it. That's how it should be here, right? There is something that means a lot to me about, if you take us as generation after generation after generation of players, about us having a chance now as former players to come have some ownership over this program, some real ownership over the program. I think that's actually super special, but I think it's also a lot of pressure because, man, I'm telling you, it means a lot to me. I can't even explain to you what it's going to mean to me to have John Wall be like, you know what, I'm actually proud of my guys. I'm really proud of what's happening there. Or DeMarcus Cousins or Eric Bledsoe or any of the guys that came before them or after them. These guys have built this incredible place. It's our job to make them proud. And so I think it's special to have this as a player-run organization. My teams are player-run teams. And I like the fact that this program right now gives a chance to be a former player-run program.
Can you share with me your biggest Big Blue Nation memory, your favorite memory of all time for you?
Yeah. So you might be able to relate to this. So I got a bunch that stand out in my mind, but I'd been here. I was here for 3 years, and it was. I had this experience my third year. I got to say this with exactly the right words. But so we won a championship. We did all the stuff. We came back, and then we were doing autograph signing at the mall here in Lexington. I don't even know if the mall's still here. And so we were there, and I don't know, guys, we were there for 3 or 4 hours. And John, you understand this fan base, but it was a line wrapping around the mall, outside of the mall, twice, and it was 10 people wide. It was just insane. So we were there for a long time. I don't even think we got to 25% of the people, but we're there hour 3, and then how you're just signing, going to the next person, trying to be as kind as you can, trying to be nice, and give everyone attention, but also trying to get to the next person. So all of a sudden I look out of the corner of my eye, and there's a man there that must have been he must have been late 40s, early 50s. And he had put in a hard day's work, maybe Eastern Kentucky, but you could clearly tell that he had just come straight from work. And for the rest of my life, I'll remember seeing his face, because he had tears streaming down his face as he got to the front of the line, been waiting in here for several hours. And it was at that moment, it was just one of those moments where I'm like, oh man, this Kentucky basketball is way bigger. I thought I was the guy, right? We just won a championship. I thought I was important. I was like, this is way bigger than me. This jersey is way bigger than me. It's way bigger than Coach Pitino. It's way bigger than any coach, or it's even probably bigger than John Wall, if that's even possible.
For sure, it is, for sure, 1,000%.
It just is. It's in people's heart and soul here. And he wasn't in tears. It's grown man that had spent more days working in the dark than I could ever possibly imagine. But he was here because of this Kentucky jersey, right? And I just don't know if there's anywhere else that has that. I just think it sets it aside. So you asked me about memories where I felt like, oh, I start to understand this place. That'll stand out in my life forever.
Yeah, because it's basically their pro team, bro. It's like they pro team. It's like their NBA team to them. So being in Kentucky, even when you go on tours, you probably go to the littlest town that you don't expect. And if they get one chance to meet you at an autograph signing or even out to eat or at a game, it's like it's the best thing they ever done. Like they don't care about who wins the NBA championship, who wins the NFL championship. It's all about Kentucky. So it's a special place to be.
Yeah, amen to that.
Coach, one shout out here because I think some fans who are new to you didn't know you played in the NBA, like with some real greats here, like Ray Allen, Sam Cassell, Carmelo Anthony. So I wanted to ask you, like, who is one of your favorite teammates in the NBA, and do you have any stories, playing with those guys?
Yeah, I was really blessed. I was really blessed to be in that league at all, and play might be a stretch. I sat for most of my career, but I was really blessed. One of the things I was really blessed about is in the NBA, I think you just kind of walk in and then you learn from the guys that are there. You learn how to be a pro, right? And you there's no instruction manual, so you just kind of walk into a locker room and those guys teach you what it means to be a pro. And so my rookie year, I was on that great Indiana Pacers team from the Last Dance that lost to Mike in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, right? And you think about how blessed am I, man? I got to walk in and Larry Bird is the head coach, and Reggie Miller, the great Reggie Miller, man, is like one of the great leaders I've ever been around in the game of basketball. And Mark Jackson, I mean, come on, Jax was like you talk about the like. John, you could have made it down and back by the time Jax would have crossed half court. But that dude was a baller, though.
No,
like he was a straight up baller. And Jaylen Rose on that team, and Antonio and Dale Davis, and Chris Mullen, and Rick Smits, and I got to walk into that locker room not knowing anything, and from day one I was like, oh. I got the greatest education on what it meant to be a pro's pro, a real pro for those guys. And I'll always be able to be grateful to those guys on that rookie team, man. I was really blessed, really blessed.
That's awesome.
That's dope.
My last question here is actually for John. Since John has been part of the program a little bit more recent than you have, I wanted to ask John, what's your one piece of advice, having been there more recently than Coach, to give him as he starts his season as the head coach of the Kentucky Wildcats?
Well, I really don't think I can give him no advice because he knows. I think he played there. He's seen the experience. For me, it was different, though. Like he said, they went to like 2 NITs, so we was just trying to get Kentucky basketball back on the map, put him in that platform. So for him, I think he already knows the right way to go with it. Like he said, how much it means to him, how much it means to his family. Like even his daughter having that talk about when y'all had to put the Georgia shirt on. She's like, no, I have to put something with Kentucky blue on it. So I think that. I think just being around that environment, being around those fans, like they know how much they love basketball. I think you said like having your first practice, letting them guys instill in them how you want the program to go, how you want them to play, still figuring that out. But I think just them walking around campus and when they get to go through their first scrimmage or first preseason game, they'll really know how much it means to play for Big Blue Nation. So I think you got them in a great position. I hope you have a great first year. I know it's going to be exciting. You can't wait to walk out there and put your little suit on or whatever you're going to wear for your first game and just to see how loud the crowd gets. I think it's going to be an amazing experience for you. So I'm happy for you to have that job. I'm definitely happy to have the opportunity to come out and support. And you have my information, so we're locked in.
Man, John, I'm super great. Hey, the word on the street is Eric Bledsoe playing in the TBT.
No, I ain't playing on TBT. They try to get me to go play in it.
No, but what I'm saying is like, hey, it's July 19th, man. It could be a fun time. We're gonna have the whole team there. We're trying to get the whole team. We're gonna go crazy for these former players, man.
Where they playing?
They're playing at Rupp. It's at Rupp. We're gonna bring the house down. Like I can't wait to have those cats back in here. Like it's gonna be epic.
I ain't T. Eulis coaching them, right? Tyler Eulis coaching.
Yeah, Tyler's coaching them. In fact, they got like I think that their coaching staff, I think they got 5 or 6 guys on the coaching staff, but it's like this is a legit. This group is going to be so fun to watch.
Well, I'm glad they did it like that because you look at some of these alumni schools got theirs, but some of the kids never went to that school, never did anything for the school. Yeah. So I'm glad they're keeping all the Kentucky ties together. That should be dope.
I was just going to say here, Coach, this is a good sign because you just tried to re-recruit John Wall to the program again. So we know how much you want it. That was dope.
Hey, I know Tyler. I don't know him well, but I know he hasn't finished trying to get you on his team.
I know. He has it. I know.
He calls every week.
Coach, good luck, man. I appreciate you spending time. I know your time is precious right now, so appreciate you coming on the pod, and I'm excited to see what you guys do, and I'm excited to see John interact with you guys in your tenure at Kentucky. So appreciate you, man.
CJ, John, super great for you guys, man.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, guys.
Welcome back to Point Game with John Wall and C.J. Toledano, presented by DraftKings. Don't forget, Bucket or Brick is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. DraftKings Sportsbook is your home for all things NBA action, from player props to same-game parlays. Check out everything DraftKings Sportsbook has to offer to make your NBA experience even sweeter. The crown is yours. John, you ready for this installment of Bucket or Brick?
You know it.
All right, so the season's over. Celtics were the champs, but DraftKings odds have the Celtics at plus 290 and big favorites to win it again next year. So bucket or brick, the Celtics are going to repeat next year.
I say bucket. They repeat.
And you were right about them winning this year. So why do you think they're going to repeat?
I think they bring the same team back. I just think they're going to get even stronger, and they probably add a piece or two. But I think all those guys coming back. And the only concern I did have is that if they would have lost Al Horford, but he said he's not retiring. He's coming back. So I think that helps their team out even a lot more because they got through the finals. I mean, they got through most of the playoffs without Porzingis. And Al Horford had to step in and play that role for them. So I think that was big for him. He got his confidence up.
Who would you say, like, what is their biggest weakness? Like, how do you improve that Celtics team this summer?
I would say maybe, I don't know, the way they stagger their team to, like, they take Jaylen Brown out or they take Drew Holiday out and substitute like somebody else in. Like with Sam Hauser or somebody. I think the only weakness they have if they live and die by the 3. That's the only thing at times. But other than that, I don't see no weakness. They all can guard. They all can create and put the ball on the floor like I was saying before. You have to guard everybody's accountable. Everybody 1 through 5 can catch the ball and dribble. Except if you bring like Sam Hauser off the bench, he's just a knockdown shooter for them. But everybody else on their team can catch and shoot, put the ball on the floor, and can defend at a high level. So I don't really see too many weaknesses for them.
Okay. All right. Let's move on here. DraftKings has Luka Doncic at plus 370, only behind Jokic for MVP next season. So bucket or brick, Luka will be the MVP next year.
Brick. I think if Joel Embiid is healthy, I think he wins MVP. I think he would have won it this year, to be honest. So yeah. I say maybe Joel Embiid or Shea. If Shea keeps the roster up like he did last year, I think those are my 2 favorites next year.
Yeah, I mean, if Joel's healthy and then they do get that new piece with Tobias' contract running out, and a lot of this time it's like the number 1 team, the team is winning. And I feel like you're right. If the Sixers are healthy and they're winning and Joel continues to be their best player, it's got to go to him.
I don't even think number 1 could have. Number 1, Shea should have got it. They had number 1 team, you remember?
But that was close. Like we really
no, it was close. It was close for sure. And then I don't also understand like how nobody from the Celtics get in the MVP conversation. Is it because they are beating everybody by so much? Like, yeah, it's like it's just weird to me because how the narrative has changed is you had to make All-Star games if you was winning. You had to make All-NBA teams if you was winning. Usually when teams are 1 or 2, they always get 2 or 3 guys in the All-Star game, or at least 2 guys. Or they at least it just changes. So I don't know how the narrative is now, but it is what it is.
Okay. All right. Moving on here. Bucket or brick, whatever team you're on next year is going to be a playoff contender.
Bucket for sure. Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit.
I'm a missing piece to a couple of teams, like just a point guard that can run a team, you know what I mean? Come off the bench, whatever role that I'm willing to accept. But I feel like I have a lot left in the tank to help a team out, you know what I mean? Because I can still defend. I can knock down, catch and shoot threes, and I can create and just find guys. But whatever role it is, I'm willing to accept. You know what I mean? If it's being the third guy, being the third point guard, if somebody else get hurt and then get opportunity to play, or if it's being the second point guard that comes in behind the starting point guard, I'm fine with that role.
Whatever team, I'm buying that jersey, whatever team you're on. Or you got to send me that, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right, so finally, this was like the drama's already started a little bit in the NBA, but the detectives out there found out that Klay unfollowed the Warriors, deleted all Warriors content on his Instagram. So, bucket or brick, Klay Thompson's going to be on the Warriors next season.
Brick. I see Klay Thompson leaving this summer. I see him going up somewhere else, and I think they split the dynasty up. Well, I don't think they're trying to split it up, but I think Klay just feel like his time is up with the Warriors, and I feel like he wants to just go somewhere new and kind of start fresh.
Well, and because you said it on previous episodes with Kuminga, and everyone knew like Kuminga wasn't happy with the playing time he got. Then actually Kerr started playing him more, and they went on that little streak there. So kind of give us a little bit more that opinion that you had of like Kuminga is their number 2 option.
Well, I just know how gifted Kuminga was. I seen him playing my John Wall Holiday Invitational. I watched him throughout high school. I just know like for him it was kind of tough early on because they was throwing the ball in the post, and you know. With the Warriors with Klay Thompson and Steph and Jordan Poole, most of the time that's not the scores to watch them come off of action. You throwing backdoor cuts or you passing the ball for threes. Kind of this year you see the offense change. He got the ball and he was able to be aggressive, able to be a scorer. I think that kind of helped him grow a little bit better. And you could tell just how much confident he got and much happy he was. And I think they kind of moved Klay from the number 2 option kind of to the third or fourth option because they still had Wiggins. And I think Klay is kind of want to be like a catch and shoot guy and a defender for whatever team he goes to. So I think there's a lot of teams where they probably gonna have a lot of teams that double team a lot. Like I think like a team like the Magic could use him very well. I think a team like Clippers could use him. I think a team like Philly could use him. Shit, even a team like Denver could use him. You know what I mean? A guy that can, if you double teaming Jokic, he's a guy on the wing that got a great catch and shoot. And we know when he's in the rhythm and his confidence is there. He's one of the top 5 best shooters that I have seen in the league history.
Yeah. All right. Well, John, this has been officially the last episode of this particular season of Point Game with John Wall. I want to say to the fans, if you enjoyed this podcast, keep showing love. Like that helps out. Leave comments, rate the podcast, tell everyone, I feel confident in the social content that we put out there. You guys have been loving it and sharing the stuff. So, John, what's a message you want to leave the fans on our summer break before we know when we come back?
Oh, I want to cry. I'm sad.
What do you do? What do you do during this downtime with the NBA?
Spend a lot of time with my kids. Continue to work on my game. Spend a lot of time with my kids. Take a couple of trips and vacations. Mm-hmm. Just relax.
Keep working on your game.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to do that. I don't never stop working out. But just spend a lot of time with my kids, man. You know, my kids in summer camp right now. They're into sports. You know what I mean? They doing all their sports activities, so they get to do that opportunity. Spend time in the backyard. Go swimming. Just try to find some new hobbies. I'm definitely going to be bowling. But I definitely want to thank everybody for tuning into the pod. I really enjoyed it. I fell in love to a new space that I never thought that I would get into. So when I got asked to do it, it was kind of dope. And then early on, just figuring out how to get better with it and having the support. Give a shout out to like all the guests that we have. That's super dope for us and super because, you know, starting off, some guys might say no. Some guys might not want to be a part of it. But to get the love, get the recognition we get, to get some dope stories out, I think it's only the beginning. So I enjoy everybody for tuning in, and we'll definitely see y'all next year.
Yes, sir. Much love to the guests and the fans, and keep following our accounts. This has been Point Game presented by DraftKings. Appreciate you guys. And we'll be posting more stuff through the summer. So, love. Peace.